Okay, so in this video, I want to share with you and explain what is a double closing in real estate. And I'm actually at a property that will be a double closing, and I'm not going to show the house in this video, but has a big backyard, as you can see. So a double closing is when two closings take place virtually simultaneously, one back to back in the same attorney's office. Normally, it doesn't have to be in the same attorney's office or a title company's office, but normally it's done that way between a seller and a buyer, and then the other closing takes place immediately with the buyer of the first transaction becoming the seller and selling it immediately to another buyer. And investors use the double closing method to flip houses, basically, when they don't need to hold it for any period of time, where they can find an end buyer, and maybe the investor in the middle is going to make some repairs or offer some concessions, but there's profitability to be made by getting the house under contract at a certain price and then going out, finding another buyer, and doing what you need to do as the middleman investor to make improvements on the property or to negotiate some kind of concessions that make it worthwhile for the end buyer to purchase the property. So that's in brief what a double closing is. It's done often. I work on these transactions a lot, and it's mostly used by investors, but it doesn't have to necessarily, it's not exclusively for investors, but investors are usually the ones that take advantage of the opportunity to do a double closing to reduce their risk of holding the property for any length of time. And also in a double closing, the middleman investor may not be required to wire funds for the purchase. He can use the funds from the second transaction that covers the purchase price that he's selling it for, which includes the money that he is able to purchase the property from the first person. So he doesn't have to bring extra money to the table, and that's another reason why investors like doing double closings. But it's a great method to tie up houses contractually, and when you find a second buyer, you can flip it very quickly by the use of a double closing or a simultaneous closing. One note about filing the deed at the courthouse. So the title company or the attorney needs to be conscientious and aware that the deeds are filed in the right order. It's easy to get the two stacks of paperwork, send it over to the courthouse, and if it's not recorded in the proper order, that could really mess things up, mess up the title for the future. So the first transaction will need to be recorded, and then at least 1 minute later, the second transaction needs to be recorded. So you can follow these transactions in the county court records for the real estate transactions, and you can see double closings on investment property that is flipped by investors. So if you have any questions about double closings, leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.